believe there's going to be 6 questions this time. 5. 6 questions this time. And they're going to have a closing statement. And gentlemen, if somebody goes down, I want you to go to a neutral corner. We'll start with opening statements. Paul is going first. Is that correct, Paul?
I thought it was Matt.
Yeah, I kept switching it. I think that's all right, if you agree. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Let me first, once again, thank the College Democrats and College Republicans for putting this debate on. You know, a wise man once said, if we don't stop extending our troops all around the world in nation-building missions, then we're going to have a serious problem. And the wise person who said that was President George W. Bush in 2001. If only President Bush listened to what his own advice was at that time, then we would not be in the mess that we are in now. We are a country who has lost credibility around the world and at home due to the Bush Doctrine, something that John McCain and Mr. Liggieri support, and something that Sarah Palin just does not understand. Because the war in Iraq started in 2003. Now, Mr. Liggieri is going to try to convince you that the war was right. He will try to say that the surge is working. But let us all remember that the war was in 2003 when some of us were in middle school. Okay? Now, he may try to claim that the United States is better off now than we were before this war started. But please, do not be fooled by him. He may be a New York State debate champion with many accolades, but unless he starts lying about the facts, he has no take on his merit. Because we have spread our army too thin. We have put resources into Iraq when they should have gone elsewhere, specifically in finding Osama bin Laden and bringing him to justice. We have instead let bin Laden slip through the cracks. We are weaker for it. Because since starting the war in Iraq, the Taliban has resurfaced, Al-Qaeda is stronger, and the world is worse off. We must responsibly withdraw our troops from Iraq and not let other brave citizens of ours die for an unjust war perpetrated on false conditions and mishandled from the beginning by the Bush administration. Because if we continue down the path of John McCain's plan, supported by Mr. Liggieri, then we will continue to let other countries such as Afghanistan, Russia, North Korea, Pakistan, and of course Iran get stronger. So I look forward to debating Mr. Liggieri on whether or not we are better off now than we were 5 years ago before this war started.
Of the debate. Gentlemen, when you run out of time, listen to the microphone tap. That'll be your warning. Before I cut you off abruptly. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Landau. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter remains is that Mr. Landau's ideological standpoints on foreign policy are almost completely warped. The fact of the matter is that he will try to indoctrinate you with the fact that Iraq is the only measure for foreign policy. But it seems that in today's American society, there are a variety of issues surrounding how we handle ourselves. The first major point I would like to make is that while I agree that the initial success in Iraq was not a success at all, the fact of the matter is that Mr. Landau is not debating George W. Bush. He's not debating John McCain. I happen to be a Republican who did not necessarily agree with the war in Iraq. But the fact of the matter is that the surge is working. And for that we need the intelligence of responsible individuals on the ground like General Petraeus. Isn't it unfortunate how Mr. Landau's own majority leader, Harry Reid, decided to block a resolution which would simply thank the U.S. troops for their job in Iraq? The fact of the matter is that Mr. Landau focuses on Iraq because he's afraid to focus on Iran, because his candidate would like to sit down without preconditions with President Ahmadinejad. And the fact of the matter is, what do we mean by precondition? Well, how about you stop enriching uranium and we'll talk? You know what the response was? From President Ahmadinejad, and I quote, according to the Wall Street Journal, "You stop supporting the Zionist infidels in Israel and we'll talk." We must stand together with our allies to defeat those who perpetrate evil, those who indoctrinate their youth, A historical parallel to this would be the Hitler Youth that were indoctrinated with the totalitarian ideology and methodology that led to World War II. The evidence will also show that we are facing an extreme problem in Russia, where Vladimir Putin, former president and now prime minister, has decided to pull the second Iron Curtain over the walls of Eastern Europe. And third, the evidence will show that foreign aid, at least according to the Cato Institute, it relies on the assumption that the people will be receiving the aid. And as a quote from Obama, "I think that the surge has succeeded in ways nobody anticipated." Well, I'm glad Mr. Landau could agree with his own candidate. Perhaps he should stick to fixing phys ed classes instead of